Sally and Adam's once joyful relationship had hit a rough patch. Arguments and disagreements had become frequent. Adam, feeling the strain, had grown fearful that Sally might walk away from him. In an attempt to safeguard their future, they took out life insurance policies on each other a few months back. However, beneath the surface, Sally harbored a deep unease about her relationship with Adam's mother. The woman's treatment of her had been cold and distant, and Sally often felt like an outsider. One afternoon, the phone rang. Sally and Adam both grabbed for it at the same time. Adam picked up from the bedroom phone, and Sally picked the phone up in the kitchen, but Adam's voice beat hers to the greeting. It was his mother on the line. Sally was about to hang up, assuming the call was for Adam, when her heart froze at the words she heard. Adam and his mother were discussing a chilling plan. They were plotting to orchestrate an accident, one that would give them access to the insurance money they had taken out on each other. Sally's breath caught as she listened to their words. Adam was planning to go hiking on a mountain, and during that hike, he would push her off a cliff, making it look like a tragic accident. Sally's mind raced, trying to process the unthinkable betrayal she had just stumbled upon. Her relationship problems, the distant mother-in-law, and now this sinister plan. It was all too much to bear. She hung up the phone, her hands trembling, her emotions in turmoil. Dread settled in her chest as she grappled with the horrifying truth. The man she loved, the man she had shared her life with, was plotting her demise alongside his own mother. The trust that had once anchored their relationship had shattered, leaving behind a gaping void of fear and disbelief. Determined not to be a pawn in their dark game, Sally made a silent vow to herself. She would not let them win. With grit and resolve, she began secretly taking self-defense classes, determined to be ready for the day Adam had planned, a day after Thanksgiving, a mere 2 months away, while trying to act as if nothing had happened. As the days turned into weeks, Sally's transformation was subtle but profound. She honed her strength, both physical and emotional, and found a renewed sense of purpose. The looming deadline weighed heavily on her mind, but she was no longer the helpless woman who had overheard that chilling phone call. Amid the tension that now hung in the air of their home, Sally held on to the fragments of her shattered trust. She grappled with her feelings for Adam, still torn between the love they had once shared and the darkness that now tainted their relationship. Thanksgiving Day had arrived, and with it came a mixture of anxiety and anticipation. Sally and Adam were preparing to spend the holiday at Adam's parents' home, surrounded by family. Sally's mind was a whirlwind of conflicting emotions, as the knowledge of the sinister plot she had uncovered gnawed at her every thought. As they arrived at the gathering, Sally couldn't help but notice Adam and his mother exchanging secretive glances. Her mother-in-law, who had been cold and distant before, now wore a veneer of warmth that seemed almost too perfect. It was unsettling how her attitude had shifted overnight, but Sally knew she had to remain vigilant. Throughout the day, Adam set the stage for his treacherous plan. He talked animatedly about their upcoming hiking trip, emphasizing how excited they both were for the adventure. He smiled and laughed with Sally, a facade that made her stomach churn with unease. Underneath his charm, she saw the darkness that lurked in his intentions. Finally, the moment arrived. The morning of the hike, Sally felt her heart racing as they embarked on the journey, the weight of the impending danger heavy on her shoulders. The trail led them through dense woods, their footsteps muffled by a carpet of fallen leaves. The atmosphere was charged with tension, the very air carrying a sense of foreboding. As they ascended the mountain, Adam led the way, Sally trailing slightly behind. The path grew narrower, the terrain more treacherous. The cliff that was to be the site of Sally's accident loomed ahead. Sally's palms were sweaty as she followed Adam's lead, her mind racing with thoughts of self-preservation. They finally reached the edge of the cliff, a steep drop into the abyss below. Sally's heart pounded in her chest. She glanced at Adam, who was gazing out at the view. His hands twitched, and she knew the moment had come. As Adam stepped closer to the edge, his back turned to her. She mustered all her strength. With a swift, determined movement, she pushed him with all her might. His eyes widened in shock as he stumbled, teetering on the edge for a heart-stopping moment. Sally's breath caught her own heart racing. But then, with a heart-wrenching cry, Adam plunged over the cliff, disappearing from sight. The wind carried his fading scream into the distance. Sally stood there, a maelstrom of emotions swirling within her, her heart pounding, a strange mixture of relief and fear washing over her. She had taken a drastic step to protect herself from the dangerous plan Adam and his mother had hatched. The wind whispered secrets, carrying away the weight of their dark intentions. Sally knew she couldn't stay at the cliff's edge forever. With trembling hands and a heart still racing, she turned away from the abyss and retraced her steps down the mountain. Her mind was a whirlwind of emotions, trying to process what had just happened. Sally's heart pounded as she walked back to the house. She knew she had to act devastated to make them believe her story. As she entered the house, she wiped her tears and took a deep breath. The family members were gathered, their faces etched with worry. She could feel their concern as they turned to her for answers. With a shaky voice, Sally began. "I can't believe it. It's terrible. Adam had an accident." Her voice cracked as she spoke, and she struggled to hold back her sobs. "He was being silly, and he got too close to the edge of the cliff. And then he just fell," Sally managed to say, her words punctuated by heavy sobs. She looked around at the shocked and grief-stricken faces of the family, her heart aching at the pain she was causing. Sally's heart was heavy as her words hung in the air. She could feel the weight of the sorrow that now engulfed the room. Her mother-in-law's eyes locked onto hers, a mixture of grief and suspicion swirling within them. Sally knew that the truth was closer to the surface than she had hoped. As the minutes passed, Sally struggled to maintain her facade. The words she had spoken were a carefully constructed lie, woven with desperation to escape the sinister plan she had stumbled upon. But even as she pretended to grieve for Adam, she felt the prying eyes of her mother-in-law on her, a silent accusation she could not escape. In the meantime, the search party had ventured back to the cliffs, and their efforts yielded grim results. Adam's lifeless body was found at the base of the cliff, a confirmation of the tragedy that had struck. The police became involved, conducting investigations over the next few weeks. Sally found herself answering questions, recounting the events that led to that fateful day. Each question was a reminder of the elaborate dance she had engaged in, a dance of survival, deception, and betrayal. She wove her tale carefully, sticking to her narrative of a tragic accident. The officers probed, looking for inconsistencies, but ultimately, they concluded that Adam's fall had been a terrible mishap. The case was officially closed, filed away as an unfortunate incident. As the weeks went by, Sally tried to resume a semblance of normalcy. She attended Adam's funeral, played her part in the grieving process, and accepted the condolences of friends and family. But beneath the surface, she carried a secret that was slowly consuming her. One day, a letter arrived. It bore the insignia of an insurance company, a reminder of the policy that had once been a source of security. Sally opened it with trembling hands, reading the words that confirmed the payout from Adam's policy. The money, intended to provide financial stability, now felt like blood money staining her conscience. The truth remained hidden, locked within Sally's heart, a burden she could never share. The suspicions of her mother-in-law lingered, a reminder that darkness lurked just beyond the facade of grief. Sally had escaped the perilous plot, but at a tremendous cost, a cost she would carry for the rest of her life. If you enjoyed this story, then I know you will enjoy the story about a mother changing her will. Instead of the money going to her children, it went to her dog, much to the disgust of her adult children. It's a great story. Once again, thanks for watching. Bye for now.